Hi everybody, I'm Tori Brame and this is Holy City Mystic. Thank you for being here. So today I don't have any yods to talk about, I don't have any major aspect patterns or anything like that. I just want to talk about forgiveness. And one of the things that I think we all run into is a misconception of what forgiveness is and what it means when you have forgiven somebody. So, kind of the misconception that a lot of us are given from a very early age is that when you forgive someone, it offsets the act in a way where it wipes the slate clean. And you, in your heart and soul, know that action, whatever they did, will never have not happened. And so, moving on, like it has not happened, feels very wrong. It's kind of that old saying, like, forgive and forget. You have such a hard time forgetting that you're like, well, I can't have forgiven them because, like, I'm never going to forget about that. But what forgiveness really boils down to is not letting that action have power over you anymore. And that might be adjusting your boundaries so that that thing does not happen again. And if it's a recurring offense, it might be setting a boundary to have that person not close to you in the way that they were before. You know, because it is foolish to have somebody close to you who keeps hurting you in the same way over and over again. And you keep being like, well, I've forgiven them, and then it keeps happening again. That's not okay. And so sometimes we do have to adjust our boundaries to make sure that you are safe from that. So forgiveness is not allowing it to happen again. Forgiveness can be making sure that it never happens again. But back to it having power over you, it's really important to make sure that that poison of holding on to something is not something that you're drinking every day. You know, especially if something was a really big event, something that changed you in some way, something that traumatized you in some way. That is now part of you. That is now part of your history, part of your DNA. And so it's natural that that comes up sometimes, especially if there's a trigger or something like that. However, holding on to it and remembering it and being angry all over again, being hurt all over again, that is not serving you. That is not something that is bringing you energy. And part of the forgiveness process, I think, has a lot to do with forgiving yourself and forgiving yourself for allowing that person to hurt you in that way, or forgiving yourself for being naive or too trusting or gullible in some way. Developing a lot of self-compassion of you were doing the best you could in the moment. That is also a really important part of the process. Another important thing to look at when it comes to forgiveness is how much is that person really capable of. Now, especially with parents, partners, friends, we have high expectations for what they need to give us. And when we don't get those needs met, when we don't receive those things that we feel like they need to give, it's easy for us to blame them and not forgive them. But when you really step back and look at the capability there, you can be mad at your dog all day long for not playing the piano, but when it really comes down to it, that's an unrealistic expectation. And so when you're mad at somebody for acting in a way that they acted, if you really take a step back and look at the capabilities that that person had to fulfill those needs, whatever they were, sometimes that can make it easier to forgive them and let yourself off the hook, let them off the hook, where it's like that whatever happened will have never not happened, but it won't happen again. It doesn't need to happen again because you've developed all these boundaries, you've developed a lot of self-awareness around whatever happened. And so forgiveness is really the natural next step of you allowing your energy to be free from that cycle of blame and shame and regret and anger. Also, forgiveness is a process. It can't be something that you can just jump to the end of and be like, oh, I forgive you. But then it's really eating you up inside every day. And every time you're driving or you're in the shower and your brain is kind of wandering, you just go back to that over and over again and you're having mental arguments with that person. And so go easy, go slow. It's okay to have to process that. Like grief, there's steps to forgiveness and you really can't jump to the end and call it forgiveness when it isn't yet. But I really do have faith that you can get there. I do think anyone can accomplish this beautiful piece of forgiveness. And some of the hardest parts of it is forgiving ourselves for being in that position in the first place. Because that is one thing a lot of humans have in common. We are very hard on ourselves. We blame ourselves for a lot of things. And so holding that blame for ourselves so close to us can lash out and attach to the other person. However, if you take a step back, we are all literally doing the best we can. They were doing the best they could. You are doing the best you can. And you were doing the best you could in the moment. And so just allowing that grace, that love, that loving kindness to envelop the entire situation, forgiveness will come from that. And you don't need to rush it, but I think it is something that we should all be striving for. So anyway, not too much about astrology, but I do think it's something that we need to be thinking about, and something that everyone should be striving for is reaching that point of forgiveness where it is soul deep and it is not just something we say that we have done, yet that holding on to whatever that was is still eating us up inside and sucking our energy when we could be putting it into other things. So I hope you guys are doing okay. Have a great day. Have a happy holiday if you're in the US, and if you're not, celebrate it with us. It's fine. It's Thanksgiving. Take care, you guys.